I'm going to call the meeting to order. Please rise for Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Can I have a moment of silence, please? Alrighty. I want to welcome everybody who's viewing and who's present today. Let's start with roll call. Commissioner Connors?
Here.
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 Thank you. Okay, we'll go to public comment. I don't believe there is any, I was told. So we'll go on to administrative business. Mark, did you have something for the group?
I have a few things, Commissioners, and I don't want to steal Commissioner Smith's thunder because he was on the phone call with me yesterday, but I just made some notes from the Port Authority meeting yesterday that I just wanted to pass along real quickly. And I know that he has multiple notes too, so in case I miss something, I'm sure you'll cover for me. Lansing provided update that Harbor Freight is under construction. It's just the weather's held them up, so I believe they said the swimming pool on 4th Street is actually going to be a business at some time once it dries out. The town center has a eye doctor who's going to be doing some development there, which is pretty exciting.
Yeah.
After a lot of years of
Well,
stagnation.
they negotiated with us about a year ago,
Yeah.
and we're glad to see that since the city of Lansing owns it now, they were able to make a deal. But you're correct.
The city of Leavenworth said that the Culver's project is progressing on schedule. They had approved an extension of this Lakeview Drive, I believe, the commission did. And then the MAPS project that we've heard a lot about is still underway. I think the city is issuing some industrial revenue bonds along that avenue. And it sounded like potentially the building that they're going in, if I understood it correctly, is they're using the spec building program to assist with that construction for them. So I wasn't 100% on that, though. It just sounded like that's what they referenced during yesterday's call. Tonganoxie, they were discussing maybe the need in the near future for an additional industrial park space, since the one in Tonganoxie is getting pretty close to full. And the city of Tonganoxie provided an update that there are still another 90 acres on the other side of that park that have yet to be expanded or developed, so there's still room there for some more growth. And that was the call from yesterday for the Port Authority. And then the one other item I had, as we're doing our open enrollment with insurance, I think we talked about our insurance renewals. One item, the dental insurance increased just slightly. It was like $5,000. My intention was that the county would just cover that and not pass on that increase. It's, like I said, it's an annual increase of total of $5,000. So I don't know that I communicated that to you. I just wanted to make sure that I did that today in case it created any heartburn. That's all I had.
I had some. I met with Easton Township or Kickapoo Township board and the fire department, and I'm meeting with Easton to request the pager amount that we're funding to replace the pagers. I think it's $145,000. I'm asking the townships to put 1/5, like a depreciation fund, in their budget for the next 5 years, so that they can either replace pagers when they need it the next time, or possibly reimburse the fund that we're taking the money out of to get it done now. So,
and it was my understanding that the county was going to be owning these pagers now.
the county sheriff.
The sheriff would be take care of the ownership and maintenance, and so I don't know how that would work.
Well, and that's what I'm bringing this up.
Okay.
To just talk about it. If the townships put 1/5 of the depreciation fund, say each township has about 10 to 15 pagers, and they're about $600 a piece. So if they divide that out, and so every year put 1/5 in an account, then they could give that to the sheriff to fund the pagers. So, because if the sheriff pays for it, it's just going to bump to the next, we're going to have to take the money from somewhere else. So we're trying to figure out how to cover those costs. It's something that we had to do right now, so that's why we came up with it, but it's something they can plan for. So
I had a couple of questions on that too. Maybe Mark, I attended a Fire District County, Lumberton County Fire District meeting last night for the first time. And I, of course, am very appreciative of the pagers that the county commissioners direction. But one of the questions, and maybe this should be directed to the sheriff, but I think it goes along with what you're saying, Jeff, and some of the issues we may have is if one is lost or stolen, is that, since it's a county thing, does the county replace that, or does the fire district replace that?
Well, I'm sure that's something that the sheriff will want to make sure he has an agreement with them before he
And that's what I
those
asked
out.
him to do, Mark.
I know a lot of times they make the employee responsible and sign a release that says they'll pay for it, but I don't know how he intended to handle that with the
I told him, that's what I told him last night. Also, I did bring it up also about making sure they're prepared in the future to pay for pagers. And they're doing their budget right now, and I see some reserves in there, and I think that's what they're planning on doing. I didn't know anything about putting it in a plan, but I know they know in the future they need to budget for these items, and it was on their budget sheets.
And that's why I just thought I'd bring it up to see what you guys think about asking the townships to put 5 years seems to be the amount of time for electronic equipment like radios and pagers. So if they'd put 1/5 each year, then in the end of 5 years they would have enough to replace all their pagers.
Is this something you would ask the sheriff to put in his agreement with them, or we work with them?
That's exactly why I'm bringing it up, to figure out how to handle this. I talked to Andy a little bit about it, and he said whatever we could do to help would be great. So.
I think it definitely should be in writing.
Right. But we were in a hurry to get this going.
Right.
I mean, this was first
Something we had to do
responder safety
yesterday.
and public safety. We had to do this.
Yeah, exactly. And now that we've had time to think about it, I think it'd be prudent to ask each township to just
Well, if
put
you're
a
going to do
depreciation fund in
it,
there.
because their budget's time cycles here too.
Exactly.
You have to
why.
do it now or not. You at least put it off for a year and make sure it's part of it. But they've only got, like us, a couple weeks for.
Yeah, and that's why I'm
Right,
bringing it
it's
up
probably
today.
too late for this year's budget, wouldn't you think?
No, Easton and Kickapoo said it wasn't.
Okay.
So I imagine they're all the same.
Well, and
Unless they're not staying revenue neutral, or staying revenue neutral.
yeah, I don't think anybody. I think since it's so close, give them the year to start off with. That's just my opinion. Make sure it's in place
Yeah.
next year, because I brought it up to them again last night, and I think all of us were meeting. I think to let this one just say, okay, this is part of the agreements coming up next year that you need to start.
Yeah, and that's
2
why.
weeks is such short notice on doing something
That's
like that.
just time to work out some better, clearer details.
Sure.
I agree.
Everybody okay with that?
Well, if there's going to be a document put in writing from the sheriff now, maybe that should definitely be covered, that
That's what I'm saying. Yeah,
moving forward next year,
Yeah.
Okay, I'll get with Andy
Appreciation.
then and talk about that. Then.
Yeah.
And the amortization
Yeah. Okay.
schedule.
Yeah.
That
Good point.
would be good to just have the sheriff cover it when he's distributing them or making arrangements with them, and that potentially, I think, probably because it's our equipment, that the townships transfer that money to the sheriff on an annual basis, so that he puts it in his equipment reserve for replacement, since I believe the intent is that he handles that going forward.
Okay, that'll work. The whole point is just to not allow this to happen again.
Yeah.
So.
Right.
Good. Okay.
That's all I got.
Anybody else before I move on?
No, move on.
Okay, consent agenda. Is there anything that should be removed before we go into that? If not, I'll take a motion.
Motion to approve the consent agenda?
Second.
Motion and second. Any discussion? Any done? Mr. Cause?
Aye.
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 It passes. Next is formal board action. Consider a motion to approve the budget, line adjustments, revised budget, and carryover reimbursement budget for fiscal year 2022 for the community correction as presented. Good morning.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Good morning.
DVP. Before we ask you to make our budget line adjustments. I just wanted to let you know that this week is the 22nd annual celebration of pretrial probation and parole supervision week, which was started in 1999 by the American Probation and Parole Association to celebrate the hard work that all the men and women working in community supervision do to uphold public safety and help, offenders in our community stay in the community, contributing, working, participating in their family duties, and addressing the criminal behavior and the thinking patterns and issues in their life that contributed to them committing crimes against our community in the first place. This week we've had Spirit Week, so you'll see us. Friday is Animal Print Day. Today is Crazy Sock Day, but don't look at me, I wear sandals. And we're having a cookout tomorrow on the basketball court to recognize that. And this week, Monday through Wednesday, during the lunch hour from 12 to 2, we've been hosting a community resource meet and greet that's open to anyone to attend. We've had different presenters come in each day to discuss the population that they serve in the community, what programs or services they provide, how the referral process works, what criteria is to participate in those programs, so that we can better build relationships with our service providers in the community and also make better referrals and just collaborate, because the collective impact tells us that we do more together. And with the community approach, if there's something that our clients need that led them to committing crimes, now they'll know where they can go and get assistance with diapers or formula or housing, or whether it's spiritual ailments or mental health or addiction, there are services here. So we've really appreciated everyone that's come out to join us so far this week, and we've been providing snacks. You guys are welcome to come over from 12 to 2 and see what we're doing over there.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
But today we are here to ask you to approve some line item adjustments on the fiscal year 21 adult budget, and that's just to cover the personnel cost for additional staff and the COLA amount that we did not budget for. And on the juvenile side, that is to cover personnel for additional staff coverage for intake and assessment, as well as for supplies and equipment for our JCAP grant. And then on the fiscal year 22 adult behavioral health grant, we had requested $6,000 and we're only approved for $5,000. So we need to resubmit our budget for the amount requested. That's just $1,000 is all we didn't get this year. And then on our carryover reimbursement budgets for the adult and juvenile for fiscal year 22, these are both funds that we've received over the years that are reimbursements for UAs and program fees, and the state asks us to present a budget of how we would spend the funds each year. And a major portion of that is for staff leave payout due to retirement or termination. And on the adult side, that is $31,732.50. And on the juvenile side, that's $23,957.98.
I don't have any questions. I've sat through this already.
Yep. We were there.
Any other questions? Take a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the budget line adjustments to budget carryover reimbursement from fiscal year 2022 for community corrections.
Second?
Motion is second. Any more discussion? Call the roll. Mr. Cause?
Aye.
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 Okay, passes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes.
Oh, do we need to approve each one?
I think as long as they know what they're voting on, I think we're good.
Yeah.
I think in the past, I think we've done them individually. That's why I'm
If
asking.
you want to do that, that's fine.
Probably just to make sure.
I couldn't hear what was.
We need to approve each one individually? Is that what the...
The motion that was made was the carryover reimbursement, and then you had the revised budget for 22, and then the line item adjustments for 21. Is that correct?
Yes.
So if you could just do a motion for those other two, that would be, I think that would make sure we're covered.
So you want to give us that language again so that I can?
It's 21 and 22.
So I think if you could just make a motion to approve the revised budget for fiscal year 2022.
That's what I did.
You did the reimbursement budget
Oh.
for fiscal year 2022. I'm not sure the
Okay.
difference, but I think there's three things there that we're actually.
Okay, revised budget.
I'll
Yeah.
second it.
There we go. Thank you.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Cause?
Aye.
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 Thank you.
What was the third one?
The third one is to approve the budget line adjustments for fiscal year 2021.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Cause?
Aye.
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 Okay. Completed now.
Anything else?
I think that was it.
I will
Thank
stop
you very
bundling them for the future. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
End result was the same.
Yes.
All right, consider a motion to approve B&R Insulation Incorporated to abate remaining asbestos on first and second floor of the Cushing building. Morning.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Morning.
So previously we had ACT go through and do destructive testing for asbestos on the first and second floor of the areas that we're most likely going to occupy. Roughly 5,700 square feet of asbestos remain in those two areas. We reached out to abatement companies, received 3 bids back. B&R Insulation, who has previously done work in the facilities, was the cheapest. We're looking to abate that now before we start general contracting work in there, so that way moving forward, we're done with asbestos on 1 and 2, any areas that we might actually occupy. I would like to move forward with this so that way we're done with that phase of asbestos in our building.
Is that 14,735? Is that
Yes,
the
sir.
number?
14,735.
All right.
This removal of the last bit of asbestos on 1 will also help us with our project of replacing the boilers, as that 130 square feet is the flue and the insulation flue that goes around that 1963 boiler. Mark had asked me to give you guys an update on that as well. The boilers have been ordered. They are shipped, scheduled for arrival second week in September. Demo from Fagan MCOR will start the first week in September, and then we will be relocating those boilers. All the piping, all the mapping for it's done, so then that way, knock on wood, we don't have any more mechanical issues with at least heating.
And that one was an insurance claim related issue. That's why I asked Aaron to kind of update that real quickly.
Did we fix the air conditioning here first?
Well, your air in here is replaced. What we had with that was we had a drive that was an outdated drive go out, and they had to order a new drive, and it's a retrofit, and magically
I'm just.
we should not have any more issues with air here.
I'm just giving you a hard time. I know you're on top of it. Okay.
It
A window
happens.
unit for backup.
Yeah, I'm considering.
Great job,
The
Jim.
budget turned out better.
Much appreciated.
It was hot.
Yeah. Any? Okay.
Thanks for taking care of it, Aaron.
Yeah, Aaron. Appreciate
That's
it.
what we're here for.
Ready for a
Yeah,
motion?
motion to approve.
Go ahead.
Motion to approve B&R Insulation Incorporated to abate remaining asbestos on first and second floor of the Cushing building in an amount of $14,735.
Second?
Motion and a second. Any more discussion? I'll call the roll. Mr. Cos?
Aye.
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 All right. Very good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Aaron.
You guys have a wonderful day.
You
You too, Aaron. Okay, consider a motion to approve case number DEV 21105, a temporary special use permit for laydown yard for SH30 Bridge project. Morning.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman and Commissioners. This is a request to approve DEV 21105, which is a temporary special use permit for a laydown yard for the SH30. This is a very typical process. It just requires board approval. This will be located at the southeast corner of the intersection of 158th Street and Linwood Road. It's, again, for the SH30 Bridge project. It's a necessity. It's Staff recommends approval of this. We sent this out to all of the commenting agencies, and nobody had any concerns. I'll answer any questions that you may have.
Commissioner Stevens area.
I'll make a motion to approve case number DEV 21-105, a temporary use permit for a layout yard for SH30.
I'll second it.
Motion and second. Any more discussion? Commissioner Connors?
Aye.
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 Aye. All right, passes. Thank you.
Thank you.
So now we got Resolution 2021-27, adoption of Lumberton County Sanitary Code. I need to open the public hearing. Is there anyone here wishing to speak in favor of it? No, we don't have to.
Motion to.
Is there anyone here wishing to speak in opposition to it? With that, I'll close the public hearing and ask for a motion.
I move that we adopt Resolution 2021-27 of the Leavenworth County Sanitary Code.
Second.
Motion and second. Any discussion on this one?
I got a few.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I'm looking through this. Am I understanding that the septic tanks don't have to be concrete? They can be, as long as they're built and sold as a septic system tank. Can they be plastic?
I don't believe they can be.
I didn't see anything in there that said concrete. And I read through it.
Oh, Commissioner, I wish I would have had that question beforehand because I can give you.
Section 6.
But did I miss it?
Page 47.
I would have given it to you before if I would have read it in a timely manner.
Oh, no worries. No problem.
Honest man.
But there was a lot to read. I mean,
Yeah, no, I'm not saying I did.
No, there.
Just says that any holding tank system authorized under this article shall be designed, constructed, and operated to comply with the standards and specifications deemed necessary and advisable by the Director of Planning and Zoning Department or his designee.
so I'm just seeing some of the big box stores are selling some huge plastic tanks for septic, and I didn't know if
I just think it's, yeah.
No, I feel like. Let me look in one other place here. It talks about page 28. Yeah. Page 28 here.
I'm sorry, I should have
It's
read
okay.
this earlier.
No, it's okay.
But, life happens.
This is what's wrong with having a Control F on your computer. You get so used to just hitting Control F, and you can't do that in real life, can you?
Does anybody else have concerns about what type of tanks?
I have concerns about that. I have concerns in general about having septic systems on 1 acre lots. So that's.
Well,
Kyle, yeah. Come here. Here's Kyle.
we're fixing a problem that we didn't create.
Oh, I know. I just don't.
The tanks have to be on the list that KDHE has as approved.
Mm-hmm.
There are concrete tanks that are approved on the list. There are plastic poly tanks that are approved. The yellow ones that you see at Home Depot are not on the KDHE approved list. Menards does sell some that are approved, but yes, there are.
Okay.
Even if you make your own concrete tanks like Myers and those guys used to, you have to go through a process to get those approved through KDHE. The plastic ones go through a similar process, so they've got to meet that list. And that's one of the things. I kind of know which ones are and aren't based on what people use around here. There are a few of them that you see that pop up where they go buy at Menards or something like that you got to look on the list or make a phone call and check. But there are checks and balances there.
So you have a list, or Planning and Zoning has a list of
Yes.
of vendors that sell.
Well, it's a list of model numbers.
Okay.
And manufacturing, and those the yellow ones at Home Depot, those Nesco or something of that sort, they are not
Okay.
on the list. So they did not check before they ordered.
All right.
Kyle, could you just introduce yourself
Yes.
and what your
Kyle
position is
Anderson,
with the county?
environmental technician for Leavenworth County.
All right.
I thought
Much
you
more
had
versed
an
on
answer
the
back.
sanitary code.
Kyle, I thought you had the answer back there.
I didn't want to sneak in, but perfect.
So there are some available for sale that are not on the list.
Yes.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yep. So you got to just one of those things to keep an eye on to make sure that.
Wonder why they would even be
Well, it's different from county to county, I'm sure.
so. But is it
State to
list?
state.
It's a state list that where they're approved. I'm not sure, but someone like Atchison County that's not zoned, doesn't have a lot of regulations, I think they can stick things down in there. But probably you're still not following state regulations.
Probably
so-
shouldn't.
Yeah, I agree.
Somebody that
Yes.
puts
That's
someone
my
every
guess
place
on
one
that.
and doesn't even tell anybody they're doing it.
That'd be the problem. Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Thanks,
Good. Thank you.
And on the 600, if you're within 660 feet of a main sewer line, now does that mean the property would have to be annexed into the city? Because more than likely it's going to be a city sewer line.
That is a city determination, and this is only if you're dividing property for development. We have a couple of these that are currently being asked about, where they are within 660 feet of existing sanitary, and our zoning and subdivision regulations require that they connect in.
Okay, but an individual that bought a large tract of ground that was within 660 feet of a main sewer
They're
line.
not dividing it.
They're not dividing, well, yeah, lot split? Is that considered a division?
That's a land division.
So it's going to be everybody then, pretty much, unless you buy an 80-acre tract next. And I doubt if you can do that and keep it an 80-acre tract when it's that close to sewer. Okay? And then on the inspections, this is my last one.
Sure, go ahead.
The right of entry to property said you notify everybody that you're coming on their property, correct?
Yes, we
Okay.
do. Otherwise, we do not go onto their property. We might view it from the road if we've got a complaint or something.
Okay.
But we do our
Right,
best
but
to.
you
Right.
notify people that you're
Yes.
coming to their property, okay. All right.
I have a question. This sanitary code was reviewed by KDHE. If we amend it or make changes to it, that also has to go
Yes.
back to the state?
Yes.
And what typically, is that like a 3-month long process? Or?
We started this in July of 2020.
Yep, it's almost a
Okay.
year. It was,
So we,
yeah.
but would it, like, if you make a amendment to it, does it take that long of a process, or?
Commissioner,
We don't
I
know.
don't feel comfortable stating how long KDHE will take to review it.
But months long process.
Yes.
Yeah. So, all right. That's all I had.
Vicki, do you have something?
Oh, like I said, I just in general do not support septic systems on 1 acre lots, period. So,
Okay.
Even if they're engineered.
even if they're engineered. Because you have no way, I mean, if there's a failure, you have no place to go. I mean, pretty much on 1 acre, you're really not, you're by the time you consider, or all things considered, you are without, I mean, that property basically has to be condemned until the entire thing is, like dug up, do what, I mean, I just think it's not a,
Well, that's from what I've heard from some of the
just-
developers. They're indicating that
there have been,
it's not as problematic as you're saying.
yeah, but within our county, there's been problematic areas where septic systems were put in where there was not sufficient enough ground for the septic systems to accommodate. Especially in a development area. I mean, where you're trying to put in a subdivision of 1 acre lots, and it's, there's a,
And we inherited this problem because there is a subdivision with 1 acre lots that, as far as I know, is working fine. And it's kind of an expansion. This came up because of an expansion of a plat.
right.
But we're talking, it depends on what you did with the property before the system would fail, because you're 43,560 square feet for an acre. say you build a 3,000 square foot house, you got 1,500 square feet of lateral,
Right.
mostly. Is that correct?
Depending on
Depending on the size of the house.
Size of the
Okay,
house.
so
Soil
you
type.
got
Right.
you do got a lot of area to add lateral, but
We, in our comprehensive plan, we have some areas where we have authorized the 1 acre. When you get a request for a engineered system, you thoroughly review that, correct, in the process?
So, I think it's important that we differentiate here. This code does not require it to be engineered; it requires it to be designed. That is a little bit different than an engineered system. That was, granted, this has been a very long process, as we all know, and this was a slightly different board who engaged this process and wanted to not require that 1 acre systems be engineered, but instead be designed. It's a little bit easier to find a designer, or it used to be. It's no longer. The woman who did them actually passed away, unfortunately, pretty recently. However, if they are a designed or an engineered system, the person who is designing or engineering them is sealing it, saying that it is going to work. And our department does not, other than making sure that they have their appropriate licensing and that they can engineer or design those systems. We're not checking their work, if you will. We aren't engineers and we're not licensed to check their work. So their seal is their seal of approval, if you will.
So kind of highlight that difference between design and engineering.
So designers take a class through KDHE. It's an extensive class, don't get me wrong. It's a good class that's taken. They understand soils. They understand the way that water works. They understand how septic systems need to work and such. But they get approved through KDHE in order to design septic systems that are not your normal, typical septic systems. An engineer is, of course, a licensed engineer. They know much of the same information. Engineers are typically more expensive. It's also difficult to find engineers who want to engineer systems. It's not really worth their time, I don't think, especially because they have to come back and do an as-built, and those are sometimes difficult to get their hands on. So we don't have a lot of engineers who do them. Like I said, there was one designer who did many of them. She was very, very good at what she did, but she unfortunately passed away. To my knowledge, in this area, there has not been someone else who's come in and filled that role.
So any entrepreneurs out there who want to get into the septic system designing business, there you go.
Absolutely. Okay, any more discussion?
no, sir.
I have a motion and second, I believe.
Yes, sir.
I will call a roll. Commissioner Cos?
No.
Aye.
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 Passes 4-1. Next item.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Crystal.
Thanks, Crystal. President discussions. I think this is our executive.
Ready for the executive session?
You want to ask?
All right, so another further business.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, if you can make the motion that, based on information that was received in the last 24 hours, I do need to adjust a report I'd like to prepare to you. So if you could start the executive session at, say, 9:45.
Okay. We have to recess and come back in, or can we
You
just
can make the motion
and we just don't go in
commence
executive
the
session?
executive session at 9:45. And
We've also got.
Well, we got some other business to
Take care of, yeah,
you
we
know,
can
what
do it.
everybody's done, I guess.
It'll get there.
And then we'll stall for about
That way
5
talking
minutes,
for the mice.
Counselor.
Yeah.
We can always talk about favorite topics.
Yeah.
Do we have any?
What do you want to go? Well, yeah, that's a good one.
Can we-
Right. Those commissioners, we're trying to get our message out there about how much money we've lost through the state since 2001, and that shifted all the tax shift to our locals. That was money that was used to be, that should have came back from us from the state. Anyone interested in taking our own money and taking out an ad in the paper or store?
I think that would be an incredibly wonderful idea.
Especially
Because-
right before our public hearing, that we would be able to publish
I think for 2
half-page
years.
ad, half-page something to explain? And I mean, we pay for it out of our own pockets as commissioners.
I'll pitch in out of my own pocket because
And-
I think for 2.5 years we've been having this discussion, trying to have people understand what our concerns are and why we keep bringing it up. And I think that maybe to take the time to really give a detailed explanation is a good idea, and I'd be more than happy to pitch in.
I think it's a public service.
Yes.
Because the more and more people I talk to about this, the
Don't
more I
know.
find out nobody knows
They
about
Right.
just
When
do not
when you
know.
finally explain,
Yep.
it's like a light bulb goes on and says, "Oh,
Yeah.
okay." And yeah, it does matter. It does matter, and it does matter for just this year alone.
Yeah,
Especially when one of them is identified as property tax relief
yeah.
money that they have kept.
Right. No, I'm more than willing,
Okay.
and to have something that's really well put together. And I'm sure that the Leavenworth Times would love having the revenue for a full page.
In addition to that, I think that's a great idea, Doug. I was going to ask to get a.
You might want to find out what the cost of a full page ad is before you commit to a full
I'm
page.
good.
But
I'm tired of people not understand of not having it fully explained in a way that is written and can be shared.
And in addition to that, I was going to put some verbiage together to ask for a resolution to pass that if we were to receive the LVTR funds and the machinery or whatever the funds are that we're missing, the county commission would apply that 100% to tax relief.
Oh, I get it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
Absolutely.
To just help bring
I
attention
agree.
to it because people just don't know about it.
Yeah.
It's
And
just
Mark,
been going on for so long.
We're still
Just-
working on the letter.
yes, we're drafting a letter. In fact, it's primarily done. One of the things that I think would be important, because I heard you mention the business machinery, that's a tax that's no longer collected.
Right.
They just quit taxing a large portion of the business property and put that back on the counties. But the other tax that we're referring to, the local ad valorem tax
Ongoing.
reduction, they still collect that money.
Right.
That's
It's
the
just
key.
that they hold
Right.
it instead. It's not a
the
new
balance of
tax
budget.
on people. It's the money that they've continued to collect for the past 20 years, going on 22 years, that they refuse to distribute to the counties and cities, even though statutorily they're required to. There are some numbers that the League of Kansas Municipalities put together, and I believe the amount total that they have withheld from the cities and counties is approaching $2 trillion in 20 plus years for Leavenworth County. So when I talk to people and I
Did
say,
you just see the look on Joe's face back there? See,
Well,
that's what we're talking about.
so when I put out the number that a very conservative estimate, it's cost the Leavenworth County $25 million. I think the number is probably closer to 35 to 40 million. But if we just going on the numbers back in 2000 when they stopped it, and you just move those forward without room for growth, it would be $25 million. With growth, it's probably 35 to 40 million, and that's significant. And as I was putting together some data for Commissioner Culbertson that I'm working on, one of the things that stood out to me on this is the year after they took away the LAVTR and the demand transfers, our mill levy increased 8 mills. So when you say, is it a reduction? Absolutely.
Yeah.
Removing that revenue from us created an increase.
For everybody.
And then for the next 15 years, the county worked on bringing the mill levy back down. And then I don't remember the exact year, I think it's
06.
when they did the business machinery exemption, I think it's 2010 was the first year of that. They adopted it in 2009, I believe,
Yeah.
in 2010 somewhere was the first year of that. Then it was a 5-year phase-in, and if you watch the mill levy after they did that, it starts to climb again to offset the revenue we lost by decisions made in Topeka. And then when they put the mill levy cap on us, the reason they put the cap on us is they said that our levies, counties and cities, were exceeding that of the CPI. Well, it was exceeding that of the CPI because we had to replace the revenue that they kept.
Yep.
And that's really what it is. It's not This was a tax that was collected at the state level for the specific reason to reduce ad valorem taxes. They took it away, and now they criticize us for increasing our ad valorem taxes. They just don't understand, and probably because historically, a lot of the legislators haven't been out there for 20 years to understand what. And so I'm not faulting the local folks for this.
No, I'm not either.
Faulting, but each year they vote to not give it to us,
Right.
so they know it's a problem.
They know that it's a problem. And I think that it's, to be clear, when the counties used to collect those funds and keep them, and because the state came, and politely said, hey, we'll work with you on this, and if you let us do all of the work for collecting these, then we'll give you 3% annually, every
3.68%.
twice a year.
Yes, it's twice a year.
Twice a year.
Right.
And so the counties all said,
Budgeted.
okay, we trust you. We'll go ahead and, but that's what happened. We'll trust you. We'll let you collect this and return it to the counties and the cities. And then as soon as the state decided, oh, we have some budget shortfalls, we're going to just keep this money.
They used it to balance their budget
Yeah.
at
That's
the
exactly what they
expense of the local
That's
municipality.
exactly what happened.
And
And it
I
goes
think
away every year.
Yeah, and
We
I think
forget about it. Oh, it's out of
No,
sight.
but there's 3 commissioners here that were actually doing budgets at that through all them years.
Yeah.
That understand what the impact was.
Well, the city manager
And that's why we got
understood that for 16 years,
exactly.
too.
And
That's
in the
exactly.
road department, well, we really took a hit.
Same with us.
And the problem is somehow we've turned this into a battle or a fight between the county officials and the state officials, and we're not trying
We're
to
not.
fight
We're
about
just
it. We're
asking.
asking for help.
No, we're
We're trying to
asking for what
explain
is
what the
owed to us.
problem is and get it figured out. That's all we're trying to do.
I do consider it to be a battle.
Association of Counties, are they lobbying on this?
Absolutely.
Well, I haven't, I just, when I attended their meetings, I didn't see this as like up
Big-
front.
Well, you didn't
No,
bring it up.
They are absolutely lobbying
No,
on
they
this.
are. Yes.
Well, I'm
Absolutely.
glad, because that's.
And the biggest part
that's
people don't
original part
understand
of
is that it's a state statute that says
Right.
they're supposed to do this. The
That's-
state
And
is
the,
supposed to do this.
and the solution so far is being considered as, well, it's a statute, so we'll just eliminate the statute.
Yeah,
Or push it down the
well,
line.
They haven't, though.
They
Or
haven't.
exempt
They do a
themselves.
continuing resolution, but one of
they
their
passed a
solutions.
statute to say they don't have to follow the statute
Right.
the last 2
But
years.
it's a tax, and if you owed taxes, you'd have to pay it all back.
Right, and
And
we're
so-
not asking them to give us back the $25+ million.
Oh, I might.
Well, if they're
No,
willing,
I'm saying
if
right
they're willing to, we'll absolutely
Well,
take
yeah,
it.
but
Have
they
not,
can't. They
but
don't
they
have
have
it. They have spent it.
What's upsetting to me is that they spent so much time and effort on the Senate Bill 13 thinking that would fix the issue,
Yeah.
and that's not going to fix the issue. We're trying to explain to them what the real issue is,
Okay.
and I wish they would spend that much time working on that.
Is there a group of counties that are considering litigation?
There was
We went to Riley County 2 years ago, wasn't it? And that was being discussed to try to get the money back.
Yeah, I reached out to KC, and there's 8 counties that are interested in following a suit with us if we decided to go that route.
But nobody wants to do that.
But we
Yeah,
don't
that's
want to
not
do
what-
that.
we
That's
just
not what we want, but
it
it's not going to
returned
die
to-
this time, folks.
I just would like to have, and I don't care. I don't know how much space it would take on 11 more times to be
Well,
serious.
let's get our
but-
information
But we need to
together
figure out
and
how much
find
space
out.
it would take to educate the public to understand what it is that we are speaking about,
Trying to get
and
back.
trying to accomplish, and how it has and will continue to impact budgeting by the county.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I might suggest that if we're going to do that, maybe we put that in the same newspaper that we put our public hearing notice for the budget.
Right, that's why I said
Just
put it
them
in
at the same
before
time,
our,
maybe,
That's a good idea.
hopefully in proximity
that
to
was
Right.
fresh on everybody's mind.
That's right. Keep it in front of the people, Sam.
And we're just trying to be transparent.
And
That's it. That's
I'm
it.
willing to
We
pitch
hear that,
in.
don't we?
Yeah, we're trying
I
to
don't know about-
explain why we have to do what we do by not being able to lower the
And
mill
that
levy
without
more.
spending, this one is not any taxpayer money to pay for having this.
We'll do it
placed in
ourselves.
the
We'll all
paper.
pitch
This
our
is
own
our
money.
Do it ourselves.
personal-
Okay, let's go
Okay.
ahead and get it.
All right, Mr. Chairman, I move that the board recess for a closed executive meeting for discussion involving the legal interest of the county as justified by KSA 75-4319B2 for consultation with the legal counsel for the board, which would be deemed privileged in the attorney-client relationship, and that the board resume open session at 10:15. Go in for 30 minutes in the meeting room of the county administrator's conference room. Present in the executive session meeting will be Commissioner Jeff Culverson, Vicki Cause, Mike Smith, Doug Smith, Mike Stevens, Senior County Counselor David Van Perrys, and County Administrator Mark Lawford.
Motion and a second. Commissioner Cause?
Aye.
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 Aye. Okay.
All right, the board has returned to regular session at 10:15. No decisions were made, and the subject was limited to legal interest of the county. Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion that we authorize the senior county counselor to proceed as discussed.
Second.
Aye.
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 Okay. Correction was given. Okay, going back to this, is there anybody on the commissioner that would like to address anything or remark?
Just what we've done over the last week.
Yeah.
Commissioner Cause and I was at JCAB via Zoom. I had Basehor City Council last week, phoned into the Port Authority yesterday. Basehor has an open house tomorrow night, I think, on the transportation comprehensive deal, like the parks and everything.
You're going to participate in that?
I am.
Good.
I'll be there. It's at the high school there on 155th.
Good.
Or Business Technology Center, whatever they call that now. And I think that's about it. Mark pretty much covered everything that went on in the Port Authority yesterday. A few things, but pretty much covered it all.
Mike?
Just working with the city of Linwood on their sales tax.
Jeff?
Just met with Lance Neely and Pat Proctor and trying to educate them and get some help on the tax issue. Also, the city or the township of Kickapoo went over the pager situation with them. That's about it.
I did city commission meeting last evening and was unable to make Port Authority yesterday, so I appreciate Commissioner Smith and Mark stepping in at the last minute.
It's all right. What do you do?
That's what we do. I attended a Lumber County Fire District 1 meeting last night. They discussed budget and some other interesting items. One of the things we've already chatted about was the pagers and how to take care of that in the future. Also spoke with Mayor McNeil on some issues out in Lansing and surrounding area. It was a long meeting, so that's about it. Mike?
One more thing. Were we going to have the county administrator proceed with the development of the job description on the development position?
I think we should. I don't know, the rest of the county commissioners will at least start the process of getting it written. You can always say no.
So we haven't approved the budget yet, and we haven't. Yeah, it's whatever.
Whatever you decide.
Yeah.
I mean, I think he can. I think he can start is make sure it's got it right. If we don't use it, when we don't approve the budget, we don't use it. But it gives a heads up.
Well, we got to get through the budget first, I think. I mean, everybody's pretty busy. I mean, we've got to. But
what do you think, Jeff?
Doesn't hurt to go ahead and have it ready.
Yeah. But I mean, it's the way
we got
time frame. We got plenty of time, and then but I know Mr. Lawford's busy with the budget, and we've got to get ready for our public hearing for not being able to remain revenue neutral. Everybody's pretty busy right now.
Jeff, you okay with going ahead then? Getting it? Vicki, how do you feel about that? Never mind. You want me to go to my turn?
Yeah, go
Okay.
ahead.
I have no problem with it. We don't have to use it. Doug, I don't think.
Well, I know, I just don't want it to be on Mr. Lawfrey's top
Time
of his list. I mean,
I
I know
agree.
he's got, he can prioritize it.
Yeah, I
Let's
know.
put it that way, but yeah.
Okay. Mike, when you got time, engage.
Gotcha. And I did want to correct one thing. I said trillion before. I'm pretty sure that was billion.
Okay.
I'm used to the.
It's a large number anyway.
It's these ARP funds that I'm dealing with right now, and before that, the CARES Act, and now the new infrastructure bill that they're talking about are all trillions. So, that's how you become comfortable with that number. I guess they just keep putting it.
That's all the federal government.
I think it was trillions. I think
Billion
it
is a
was
lot.
1.7 billion.
Billion, yeah,
dollars.
but that's still a lot of money.
That is a lot of money.
It's just a lot of money that we could have been using. I mean, our portion we could have been
Oh, my
using
goodness.
to accomplish a great deal over the past decades. I mean, it's just,
It was a trickle down effect. I
Right.
mean, we deferred maintenance on roads,
right.
and you know what that does? That costs you,
Long
cost you
term.
more in the long run by
buildings,
deferred
on-
maintenance. And I can guarantee you we did it.
Yeah.
And of course, they always look to Public Works and Road and Bridge Department to find ways to cut money.
Well, it was kind of like the way they did the Bank of KDOT. I mean,
Right.
same type of.
Keepers.
Well,
Well, that's another thing that needs to be, because we used to pay 4% per employee for capers, and now we're 10.
10 for capers and like 20 something for KP&F.
KP&F, yeah.
And the employees' share also went up.
That's right.
More than doubled
Yep.
for the
Right.
employee share. And that's all decisions made at the state level.
I said it just goes on, and
Right,
it just
that's
kept
what the
shifting.
list grows
and
is how it has
it
impacted.
didn't eliminate it; it
And-
shifted it back to the homeowners.
And the problem is it's time to address the big problem now, because the reason we're fifth largest in the state but ninth lowest mill levy in the state is because there's nothing left to cut. We've got to address the real problems.
That's a good one. Okay, anything else? Mark, you have anything?
No, sir.
Take a motion to adjourn then.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Gause?
Aye.
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 Aye. We are adjourned. Thank you.